Mario Fratti, born in Italy, but I've been living in New York since 1963, and I'm doing many plays in New York, and next week, starting October 3, I'm doing the play The Vatican Knows. I am talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By, and I'm very happy to be talking about my work and his work. Thank you.
Well, good morning, goddammit. Welcome, everyone. I'm thrilled, as always, to be back here in the neighborhood on the Dave's Gone By radio program. My name is Rabbi Sol Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York, and we're going all the way across the world now to talk to a playwright, someone who has written plays for 50, 60 years, born in Italy, living in New York now. He's had success both on Broadway and off-off-Broadway and many other countries. His name is Mario Fratti. He just won a big award from Italy, a Capri Award, for a novel that he wrote when he was 20 years old. Plus, he has a brand new play being done at off-off-Broadway's Theater for the New City. It's called The Vatican Knows, and it's all about Catholics and little boys and abuse and priests and all that fun kind of thing that Jews look at and giggle. So, would you please say a big Jewish buongiorno to Mario Fratti. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Well, thank you. A pleasure to be talking to you, too. So Mario, you write a play, I guess, every year, at least one play. Do you feel, does inspiration just strike you, or do you force yourself to sit down and write something every day? What's your method?
No, I don't write every day. I get ideas about a play, and one a year I write with pleasure. I learned from Arthur Miller that the play is like a pregnancy. You keep it in yourself for many months, and when it's ready, it's very easy to write. I really learned. He wrote his masterpieces in 10 days. I can write my plays in 10 days because they're ready. That's my method.
Wow, 10 days. So you would do like 10 pages a day, and boom, you're done. But you gestate it. You walk around in there with this thing in your belly. And you just sort of walk around the neighborhood and think? Is that how it works before you start putting your fingers to the keyboard?
I keep thinking about it, and I put my head on a pillow, and it develops, and the characters are grown. And it's very easy for me. When it's ready, it's ready. Twice, it was so ready, 2 one-act plays, that I could dictate them to a typist.
Oh my goodness! Now, do you do much rewriting, or is it pretty much there when you finish that first draft?
My method is simple in a way. I put it away in a drawer for a few days. Then, beginning July 1st or August 1st, I reread it for 30 times. 30 days in a month, and I discover some repetitions or some mistakes. And after 30 times, it's there, finished, never touched again.
Wow, so you don't even revise it because you are lucky enough that when you write a new play, it gets done, especially in New York. Every year, the Theater for the New City will put on another play of yours, and I'm sure they've been done at La Mama as well. So in that process of rehearsal, you don't revise, you just watch?
Yeah. I just watch, and I just give suggestions to the director how the actor should behave, but I don't change anything. I only stress the end of the play. For me, the end of the play is absolutely necessary. It must be unpredictable. So I tell the director, it's there, it's unpredictable, now stop it, blackout, immobility.
Interesting. My gosh. Now, have you ever written plays in Italian, or from the very beginning it was English?
No, I wrote the first 20 plays in Italian because I was living in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Then I moved to the United States in 63. And I have a PhD in English literature, so my English was rather good in 63. It improved, of course, slowly. But I wrote all my other plays in English.
Now, what was the difference between writing plays in your native language and writing them in English?
Well, it's very interesting. Let's say Moravia, for instance, is a great storyteller. But when he writes a play, it's too literary, too polysyllabic, too boring. I learned, on the contrary, that to avoid the literary quality of the Italian language, and when I translated them, because I translated it in English, I made them very concise and precise. I love the English language because it is monosyllabic. Every word is a weapon. So now my style is completely different.
Wow. But do you still like or look over your old plays? Do you ever read your old Italian plays, and what do you think of them?
Never. Well, I never read them again, but I remember that they were literary. They were overwritten. They were boring, like Günter Glass, for instance. He's a great novelist, but he cannot write plays because they're too rich. But the mistake they do in Europe is that the maid or a servant speaks like a philosopher. They don't know how to distinguish. They don't know how to give different language. And in English, of course, I'm going to the theater every night because I'm also a drama critic.
See?
English, you just create characters who talk in a different way, and they are interesting.
Now, let me ask you, if you had written 20 plays even before you left Italy, that means, did you have a pretty good career in the arts in Italy? Were you always a playwright there?
Yes, I started early and I won 33 awards. But in Italy, there is reluctance to put on stage Italian playwrights. They prefer foreign playwrights. So I had only 4 productions, 33 awards and 4 productions. So that was a loss.
Well, how would you get these awards if the shows weren't produced? Were they just literary prizes? Were they for...
Literary prizes. They give you $1,000, $2,000, they say you thank you, and then they never put them on stage. Only 4 they put on stage.
Interesting. Now, how old were you when you left Italy for the United States?
I was over 30, 31.
31. So, wow, did you have memories of wartime Italy?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And by the way, you mentioned before my Capri Award. Well, I rediscovered a book, a novel, I wrote when I was 20. It's all about my experiences in the war, my reluctance to join the partisans and anti-fascists because I was a coward. So the book is really a novel about a coward who doesn't know how to curse anti-fascism during the war. I became a good anti-fascist after. That was easier.
Well, it's easy to become an anti-fascist after the war.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what memories, though, I would love to know. I haven't read the novel or the novelization of your life, but what are some specific memories you have of the Mussolini era?
A specific one is this. My friend, there's a friend called Giorgio Scimia, who asked me to join the partisans, to go to the mountains to fight the Nazis. I was a coward and I didn't go. 9 of my friends, including Giorgio Scimia, they went to the mountains, I thought, they left the city, and they disappeared for a few months. At the end of the war, we found out that they had been murdered, assassinated by the Nazis at the same night when they left. They were found. So the worst experience in my life was that 9 friends of mine died. And only recently I had the guts to write a play called 9 Martyrs, in which I don't boast about being alive. I just attack Mario for being a coward. I even use my name. So the characters talk about me as a coward, which has been my problem all my life, being guilty about not joining them.
Well, there is such a thing as survivor guilt that people talk about, that even if they hadn't made the decision as you did to save your own life, people just, why them, not me? Why were those 9 people that I knew that I could have been one wasn't. That's a big psychological hurdle.
Yes, I'm happy to be alive. I've been contributing with Italian and American literature. I've written plays, but I still think that basically I think of myself as a coward. You mentioned survival guilt. Yeah, that's it, survival guilt.
And you're finally, how old are you now? You're 80, what is it? 86, McMuzzle, McClick. So has it taken you all this time to be able to put that to paper and to deal with it?
Well, the novel speaks about the whole thing.
That's right, when you were 20, that's right, yeah.
Yes. But, this play about the 9 martyrs was written only 2 years ago because my daughter Valentina, who is a director, suggested I should write it. I was reluctant to write it, and then I found a way of doing it by blaming me. They are talking about me as the guy who was a coward.
Well, you stayed in Italy through the rebuilding process. What was that like? Was it like what we saw in the films by Rossellini and De Sica? Was Italy really like that?
Well, yes. From 45 to 47, we were a free country, liberation, joy. Then we had the elections, and the elections were won by the Catholic Party, which included all the fascists. All the fascists in Italy became Catholic, good Christians, okay? And they won the elections, and from that moment on, the figure of the partisan was not respected, and we went back to a conservative oligarchy controlling Italy. So we were free and happy only from 45 to 47.
That's amazing. It only took 2 years. Even then, memories were so short. But you stayed almost, 2 decades longer in Italy. What made you come to the United States, finally?
Well, it was very interesting, Lee Strasberg discovered a play of mine called The Suicide. It was done at Spoleto Festival. They invited me to come to New York. Then they showed 3 plays of mine in New York. They were successful. People loved them, And so I stayed because I realized that New York doesn't give you $2,000 for an award, but they produce the play. And that's more important to see a play on stage. And then, as you know, I worked with a good composer, Maury Yeston, for 7 years on my project. The project was a play of mine called The 6 Passionate Women, which became the musical 9. So I was very lucky with that project based on my play, and after 7 years of work, hard work, I succeeded with Maury Yeston to have a play on Broadway.
Well, your play was based on the Fellini film 8½, no?
Well, it was really based on the life of Fellini, which I wrote. It's a play called 6 Passionate Women, which is, of course, the life of Fellini and 8½. And it happens in Venice. And what's tragic is that in New York, the 1 hour about Venice was fantastic. All the critics loved it. And I had a very good ending, But unfortunately, the film didn't use Venice and didn't use my ending. So the film was, in a way, a betrayal of a good musical.
No, you're talking about the film 8½, or the film version of 9?
9, the film version of 9.
The recent, from a couple of years ago, the film.
Okay. Years ago. They betrayed it. They didn't use the story in Venice, and they didn't use my ending. I'm usually very well known for my good endings, strong endings, They just published a book of 28 unpredictable plays by Mario Fratti, published here in New York. So the ending is great. My ending for the musical, which everybody loved, was a young Mastroianni, a young Fellini. He's 9 years of age. He talks to the grown-up Fellini, who is 40, and he tells him basically, you think you're the seducer? You think you are the king of the world? No, your brain is 9. That was a great ending. Every critic loved it. Because I wasn't saying 9, my 9 is better than 8½. I was saying my 9 is the confession of a man who was the brain of a child. All seducers are children, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And all creators, I think, all people who are in the arts on some level are still children in the back of their... I mean, you don't feel, what did you say, you're 86 years old? Do you think mentally, are you 86?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm 20, you know. And in many of my plays, I mentioned something interesting, you know, that a man is in need of many women, mothers, sisters, lovers, daughters. He is surrounded by women. He needs women.
I'm not discounting that. I'm not. And you do still, and I think to this day, but certainly in the years that my good friend Dave has known you, you have a bit of a reputation as a ladies' man, a bit of a seducer yourself.
Yes,
am I right?
I have a pleasant personality, and women like me. So it was easy for me to be happy with a few of them.
Oh, did you ever? Were you ever married?
Twice.
Oh my God. Well. How did you meet your wives, and why aren't you still married to them?
When one I met in Venice for political reasons. She was a leftist, and I loved her personality. And the second one was a Russian pianist I met in Leningrad, and unfortunately she died.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. And is that how you had your daughter Valentina? Is that from the...
Yes, Valentina is the daughter of the Laura, the pianist. And by the way, I chose the name Valentina, dedicated to Valentina Tereshkova, who was the first Soviet woman in space.
Oh, well, that's right. And Valentina, you said your daughter is also in the theater. She's directing. Is she in New York still, or what?
She directs plays now and then, freelance, and she directs plays in New York.
Good. That's pretty good. I mean, does she have a full-time job also? She also
a full-time job, otherwise she wouldn't survive.
Well, you have been lucky. Is it the fact that you had the big success with the musical Nine that allows you to have lived your life all these years writing plays? Because no, I don't think any other play of yours has ever reached Broadway. They're done all over the world and off-off-Broadway. But where does your income come from?
Well, most of the income comes from Nine, which is still paying some money. And some from 19 productions in 19 languages, everywhere. China, Japan, Croatia, Turkey. And that gives me some royalties,
Oh, yeah.
Not much, maybe 1,000 or 2,000. Japan pays very well. And so that survive with the money of Nine and the money from foreign productions.
And isn't it the most wonderful thing? A lot of these places invite you as the author to come see the show. Do you get that a lot, where they'll say, we'll pay your ticket, we'll put you up in a...
I remember. I went the first 48 times, but usually I lost money. They gave me 2,000, and every time I went, I spent 5.
Right.
Because, the dinner with the actors, and the trip and the hotel. So I stopped going because it was costing too much. Even the last time I went to Leningrad, they gave me $2,000 and I spent 6.
Oh, boy. And well, it's not even Leningrad. I love that you're calling it Leningrad. It's St. Petersburg now. But
all the intellectuals, all the theater people still call it Leningrad.
Interesting.
They love that city because, millions of people starved to death defending the city against the Nazis.
Yes, yeah. And so my friend Dave, who hosts this radio program, he has been to Leningrad a couple of times. It's an amazing place. Did you get to go to China?
Yes, of course. I went to China, Shanghai, and Beijing, and the good productions, and it was fun, And again, they don't pay much. For instance, Croatia pays me $50,
Well, all right. It's Croatia. What the hell do you expect?
So never too much money. When I go to see a play of mine, I lose money. But anyhow, I'm very happy, David, but David was a good friend of mine, and is a good playwright, and I met him, and we spent time together in New York. I'm sorry, I miss him. Tell him to come back to New York.
Oh, he'll be back in October. He hopes to see you. And he won't be doing the show that he's been working on, but he'll just be there as a human watching plays. Speaking of which, you did mention that you have been a theater critic for a lot of years as well, straddling the line of creating plays yourself and then judging plays by others. How long have you been a critic?
Oh, since 1963, practically every night. I see plays all the time, constantly, you know.
And are you writing for OG?
I always, yes, for American OG and also for a magazine in Italy. And I usually underline what's good. I mean, I am 100% satisfied only once a week, maybe, you know. But on the other nights, I underline only what's good. Sometimes the set, sometimes the acting, sometimes the direction. So that's my method, you know. So my audience reads between the lines when I insist on good playwriting or good acting.
If you're not saying a lot of things, if they're negative, you're leaving them out, the audience will infer, your readers will know what you're leaving out. But do you still think that that is a good way of going about criticism? If you just say the good stuff, that's as good as giving the good and the bad?
No, I mean, if the play is very bad, I skip it. I don't want the playwright to suffer too much. When the play is mediocre, I go talk to the playwright. Orally, I give him hell. But on the paper, I try to save his project. Yes, I am Mario Fratti, and I'm doing many plays in New York. And next week, starting October 3, I'm doing the play The Vatican Knows. I am talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By.
When you're criticizing other works, has that ever helped you having that discerning eye in writing your own plays, or the fact that you see so many plays and review so many plays, does that hinder you because you're always seeing stuff and other people's ideas and you wonder where your next idea is going to come from?
Usually, I am disappointed because they don't know how to end the play. It's disappointing. The last three scenes are useless. There was a good moment in which they could have stopped the play, and they didn't. So I don't learn much from them, very little. And also they are pessimistic. Now, for instance, I just saw some plays by Lucy Ruth.
I'm sorry, what?
Lucy, a new woman, a playwright.
Okay.
Negative, alcohol, drugs, violence. So, on the contrary, I'm an optimist. So, Arthur Miller told me once, in every play there must be a spark of hope. In every play I put a spark of hope.
Interesting. And let's get right to the play that is going to be off-Broadway, off-off-Broadway from October 3rd through October 20th at Theater for the New City on First Avenue downtown. It's called The Vatican Knows. Now, you obviously have your issues with Catholics and priests, as you've said before. So,
well, I mean, you know, what happened was there was a plot in the Vatican against the Polish Pope. Basically, it was the first time we had a foreigner. So there was a plot in which they tried to blame him about something. And they made, and they helped in a kidnapping. So the lady who was kidnapped, and they tried to blame the Pope, has not been found. So still, it's a mystery what happened. And the Vatican knows. So I wrote about this, indicting, the few who were plotting and explaining the kidnapping and explaining the philosophy of the jihadists, because she's kidnapped by right-wing grey wolves. That they were the fascists who tried to kill the Pope.
And how much of this was based on truth? All of it?
Everything is true, everything, the dates, the kidnapping, etc., etc. But inside it, I invented a story which is very dramatic. I invented the behavior of the woman who first thought she was the daughter of the Pope, and then she denies it with filial affection.
Interesting.
Interesting play.
Yeah. So, can I ask, do you have a favorite play of yours that you have written over all these years?
Well, there are three plays of mine which are done all over the world, and they satisfy me. It's The Cage, The Victim, and the refrigerators. Those three go everywhere, and it means that I structured them well.
And those were were they all written in the same period of time?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I mean, some distance, yeah. But not too much, so maybe 2 years of difference between one and the other.
Now, do you mostly at this point write plays that are somewhat socio-political and have that kind of intrigue? Or do you still write all kinds of things?
Well, very often. I write political plays, but these political plays, like Chile, 73, like Kissinger, like Patty Hearst, they don't or Che Guevara, they don't last a long time. Political plays go on for 2-3 months and then they disappear. So I prefer to write universal themes, family, conflict, because those can be done in Africa, can be done in Japan, very easily. So universal subject, the conflict in a family, for instance.
Now, you also mentioned that Arthur Miller was an influence on you. Who were the other playwrights, even back when you were in Italy, who was influencing you to even write that first play, let alone the first 20 or 50?
Yeah, well, I lived in a poor neighborhood. I went to the library all the time. I read maybe 2,000 plays, so I learned something about the technique. Now I teach playwriting, and I tell the playwrights, don't read thousands. Just concentrate on 4. Study the plays of Pirandello, Bertolt Brecht, Arthur Miller, and Tennessee Williams. Just study those 4 playwrights, and you will learn tremendous amount about playwriting. I limit the research for them.
All right. Well, let me ask you, what are things that you would learn from each of those playwrights? What would you learn from Luigi Pirandello?
Oh, that you are always wearing a mask. He calls his plays, naked masks. Everybody's lying to survive.
Wow. Okay. And what would you learn from Williams?
Williams, oh my God, the sensitivity of a man who is gay and who is feminine and who is a great poet. And by the way, I got from him, because I knew him. He lived in my building.
He lived in your Tennessee Williams was in your apartment building?
Yeah, in my apartment building for a couple of years, and I met him all the time. And he told me something absolutely important, which in this interview, this is the most important thing I'm telling you. He told me, Mario, every play, mine or yours, has 3 elements. And you can use this when you teach. 3 elements. Based on something real. Chronicle, or something you read in the paper. First, 1/3. Second third, autobiography. Third element, imagination. So I checked all my plays, and in all of them, it was based on something I read, my autobiography, I am present in all my plays, and imagination. So I learned from him these 3 elements which are basic, very important.
Wow. That's what. Do you have a favorite Tennessee Williams play?
Well, some called the tragedy of...
Well, sure. That's pretty... And who was... You mentioned Arthur Miller. Who was the 4th person that you said?
Bertolt Brecht.
Brecht. Well, what you learned from Brecht?
Political commitment. Yeah. And the breaking, what they call Anfremdung, the breaking of the 4th wall.
Which, well, you don't always do, but it's something that you can choose to do.
Yes, you can do something. And the thing is, I love it when the actor comes out and says, don't believe that. They're lying. Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. Can I ask, you say that you teach. Where do you teach?
I taught playwriting at the Columbia University and at the college, and sometimes, there's a group which asks me to teach playwriting privately, let's say. And then I always stress, those 4 names, and I stress the ending of the play is the most important. If you don't have a great ending, forget it, the play. It isn't worth anything. Yes, I am Mario Fratti on Dave's Gone By.
Now, what do you think, I didn't even ask you this before, but since you've also been a theater critic since 1963, what do you think of the state of theater criticism in the world and in America, the folks at the New York Times, and also how theater criticism has had to adapt to the dissolution of newspapers and the whole online community going forward?
Well, now and then I see a play and I love it. Then I open the New York Times, they killed it. And I'm very sad, I try to save it by saying good things to my friends, by writing the article. But the power of the New York Times is huge. They can destroy a play with few lines. And sometimes I don't agree with them. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they blame a play which they think it's light and silly, and I thought it was deep and good,
And that goes back to the reason why you will generally try and pick out the nice things, so that you're not killing something that may have things of value that are worth saving.
In the 60s, I forgot the names, it might be a Freudian reason, 2 playwrights committed suicide, after they received bad reviews in the 60s. I could research the names, but I have no time for that, Committed suicide after bad reviews. Because in New York, it's interesting. It's either $0 or $1 million. So if you fail, you feel like a loser.
Well, but one of the nice things that you have in your particular niche is do you have an agreement or something with Theater for the New City that when you write a play...
Might me. The Cafe La Mama and Theater for the New City, they might me to do plays there. They like my style.
So if you write a play, you can pretty much guarantee that one of those 2 places will do it, which is a great thing.
Yes.
That's a wonderful... Every playwright would love to have that guarantee at least. That
I think so, yeah.
The knowledge that even as you're writing the play, you'll know it will get done, as opposed to someone who's just tucking it into a drawer.
It's very important. Sometimes, big theaters, like, for instance, the public theater, they give playwright a chance, with good production, but that's it. They don't give the same playwright 10 chances. So the playwright is forgotten after a good production of the public theater. On the contrary, I am constantly present, and that helps me.
And also what happens regionally and in theaters in New York is development hell, workshop hell. Plays get readings, and they get more readings, and there's a workshop thing, but it never, it always stays in that one level. And
I avoid those workshops. They're a waste of time. They should do what Arthur Miller said. Think about the play, think well, listen to what I say about the good ending, and when it's ready, write it. Who needs a workshop? It's a waste of time. It is a waste of time. I remember when I was at the Actors Studio once, and I heard 2 people say good things, 8 people kill it. So they give a bad impression to the playwright. The playwright is very insecure.
Of course. But you sound, that's one of the nice things also, I think, having, how many plays now? It's 70, 80, how many would you
91.
say? I'm sorry, 91 plays?
Yeah.
Are you hoping, is 100 the magic number? Is that the one where
No, I'm writing a few, but I don't put the number. I like number 91. I stop there.
91 is good, too. So you don't see yourself stopping or slowing down in any possible way?
No, very easy, very easy. Now, for instance, I was in Venice now for the presentation of the book, the novel, I had 7 days free, and I wrote a play. It came out very easily.
Wow. I should speak for my friend Dave. He only wishes they came out that easily. I think it's amazing that you can do that. What do you do when you're not writing plays? How do you occupy your time?
Oh, my day is very easy, In the morning, I work, I read the paper, I work, I answer letters. In the afternoon, I go and see a film, or I write a play. And then at night, I go to see a play, or review a play. But basically, when the play is ready, for 10 days, I do nothing. I just concentrate on writing the play. And then tell Dave to do the same. When he has an idea, he should think it as a pregnancy, slowly. Let it grow. The characters grow. The conflict grows. And when it's ready, when he has a good ending, he should write it. By the way, he's a good friend. And if he has the troubles about endings, just let him call me. I'll give him bright, wonderful endings.
That's a wonderful. Well, you have given us a wonderful ending to our interview here with the delightful and the so smart and so vibrant Mario Fratti. Everybody, please go see his new play, The Vatican Knows, about the kidnapping of that young woman. This is by Mario. It's playing at Theater for the New City from October 3rd through the 20th. Also, go to the library, check out some of Mario's 91 other plays, 70 of which are in English. Mario, I can only wish you much good health, luck, more and more plays that you're writing forever. More women in your life. Is there a woman in your life now?
Yes and no. So tell David to call me when he comes to New York. We'll have lunch and we'll talk. We'll talk about playwriting because we both love playwriting. Mario
Fratti, buonasera. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was a nice chat, and I'm happy that to show my vitality. 86, I'm still alive, eh?
Bravo!